Welcome to this bite-sized episode of the Payroll Podcast with me, your host, Nick Day. These are short snippets from my main podcast show, which is the go-to source for all things related to payroll. Featuring experts from the world of payroll, these bite-sized episodes are going to share key insights, nuggets of information, tips, and best practices to help you navigate the complex world of payroll. And remember, if you ever need support recruiting talent for your payroll team, please do get in touch with either myself or my team at jgarecruitment.com. For now, sit back, tune in, and let's talk payroll.
First of all, I would kind of evaluate what areas we're deciding to make those robotic and automation changes. And I think we all know they're the repetitive tasks that we're doing in the payroll function, and identify what percentage of that is. But also then highlighting, and sometimes it's a great way to use is using a SWOT analysis where you talk about the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities and threats, and putting that into a table where you can identify, if we move forward in this direction and you think that you don't need to have any payroll expertise or even outside payroll expertise, here's some of the things that might happen, and explain, there is regulation issues that need to be done. Some of the stuff needs to be done manually in some cases, in some countries. Stamping passports, for example, or a work passport in Brazil has to be stamped when somebody hires and leaves. So how can you do robotics or automation with that type of thing where there's expertise? There's also somebody that has to be aware that everything's working, right? So automation and robotics is only as good as we do all the programming work and we program it all. But if something doesn't happen, we do have to have the documentation pulled together that says, here's what's happened and how we can fix it. So triage, I think, is a different skill set that's needed. So it's somebody that's going to manage a project. And it's also some expertise in the technology that's going to be part of the team. So it's different skill sets that are going to need to be done. But really having them recognize we're presenting it, we're not afraid of your change, like telling them we think it's a great idea to be using robotics and automation for these functions. And these are the other functions and skill sets that we need to make sure that the business is compliant and we're managing it together and building that team together instead of just saying it's not going to work. So I think it's better to evaluate it first, look at what part of the proposition is going to work for payroll and what's not, and then coming up with some clear, crisp slides. That's why I like the SWOT, because you can put it on the slide and talk to it instead of getting emotionally about, well, this is never going to work, because sometimes that's what happens when we get these changes coming down, and talk to what could happen and could not happen and let them see the pros and cons of the decision and work together with them.
I hope you enjoyed today's bite-sized edition of the Payroll Podcast. Remember to subscribe to the show, share it with your payroll colleagues and friends, and why not also check out some of our previous episodes for more golden nuggets of payroll information that you never know, they may just help you along in your own payroll journey. But for now, I'm Nick Day, and you've been listening to the Payroll Podcast Bite-Sized.